Today on deck we got Star Raider FILCH. Great choice of alt mode for a multiversal pirate. Great name for a pirate. But is it a great remold?
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
In the night her talons gleam, silent sails a pirate's dream. On her wings she flies so high, stealing loot beneath moon's eye. Crow pirate, robbing ships without a sound. Crow pirate, looting treasure, sailing round.
First impressions? Which is pretty cool. I'm a fan. It helps that I was a fan of this mold in all of its iterations, but even if you weren't mad keen on Airazor, I feel like this is different enough that it's pretty cool. I also like it's real subtle, but they've gone for the whole no nose thing, but there is a slight molded dimple. You can see it catching the light. There's the impression of nose, which is a good way to handle the G1ification of characters that have no nose in their design. It's a design cue that really doesn't worry me. They're alien robots, right? So on the Deceptor set, her color scheme is a little bit camouflagey, but when it comes to Decepticons, purple works. It also, like, the depth of the blues also really lend themselves to a Crow/Raven, a Corvid alt mode. I also think the little teal highlights on her shins that are then also pulled out in the crow eyes and her eyes work really well. Most of the apps are real tidy and real crisp, and I love them, but if we get up close and personal with that head sculpt, you can see on her helmet the paint has been applied pretty coarsely. Like, admittedly, it'd be a really delicate app to hit, but they've managed to paint her eyeliner and eyebrows separate, so it is just a little bit of a bummer that so much of that face color has bled out onto her helmet. It would make her look so much sharper if it just sat right. I don't know if it's going to come out this way on everyone's. I'll be interested to see. Let me know. If yours has the face bleed, tell me. Otherwise, the sculpt and apps, real tidy. I mean, come on. Those tiny fluorescent hot blue eyes with painted eyebrows and a different colored eyeliner. That's a level of face sculpt detail that you just don't see every day. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and give her regular shoes, but for this particular mold, I feel like the harpy feet definitely work best.
She never cooks, she keeps a filthy house, and she talks profanely. She's the queen of the harpies.
No, I'm
queen
not.
of the harpies.
No, I'm not.
Here's your crown, your majesty.
Get
And for how many times this mold's been messed with, all of her tolerances, real good. Articulation-wise, ball-jointed head with a lot of look up, which I know is something we all love on a flyer character. Arms go all the way around, shoulders lift up. These pauldrons have a little bit of wiggle to them, but they're not like, you know, completely separate. And I don't feel like they're really limiting the articulation in any way. They just look cool. Bicep swivel, about a 90 out of the wrist. You get, from transformation, an awkward bend in the wrist, which is a little bit too high to feel like it's, you know, part of the wrist articulation. So I don't really do it, but you can do it. It is there. No wrist swivel, however. Waist swivel, a lot of movement on the legs. They do splay out a little bit because of, you know, her bikini briefs, but you can throw whatever shapes you're going to need her to throw. About as deep a knee as you can possibly get, and then from transformation kind of double ankles, but otherwise that foot's on a ball joint, which frees up a lot of movement. So all things said and done, she's about as flexible as a pirate can be without having nom-nommed the gum-gum fruit.
He's made a rubber.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.
So accessory-wise, what you get is these arm-mounted wings, which I think they look pretty cool like that. Because of the bend, you can have them a little more tucked away. If you wanted to, you could always turn them around, and then it's like a scyther. They also, because they're, you know, detachable, you can also go ahead and then put them in her hands, and they've almost got a little bit of like a cutlassy blade kind of dealio to them. It is a bit parts for me because, you know, they are the main part of her wings. Without them, she's a little bit like Matt Damon in Dogma. If you want to, they can also always store there and extend out that wingspan. It's a design cue that some people might find grating, the mix of like metallic pinions with some actual organic-y feathery details, but I quite like the mix. Plus it also gives you the option to make her go full Sephiroth. Anytime anyone can go full Sephiroth, it's a cause for celebration. Unless you're Cloud. So by way of comparison, let's start with her closest relative and work our way back, shall we? So obviously the closest to her tooling is Kingdom Air Razor. At first glance quite similar, but the longer you look, the more radically different parts there are. So in terms of shared tooling, same feet and shin, their shin guards completely different. Same thighs, same crotch, same waist and pecs, same bird head collar, different bird head, different shoulder pauldrons, same wrist, different head. And because of the way the wings work, quite differently sculpted back and wings. Filch could almost function as Air Razor's Armada Wheeljack. Like they were, you know, sisters, and then things went sideways. They got caught in power lines, or there was a cat. Catilla showed up, and Air Razor had no choice but to dip, thinking that Filch had been killed, but with some more cybernetic-y augmentations, she survived. Now she's here for revenge. Then, of course, you've got Weird Uncle Pterosaur, who, once you start looking closely at these guys, other than the wrist, I don't think there's a single shared piece. They really went to town when they remolded Pterosaur. I know a lot of people thought he probably should have been his own completely separately tooled thing, but I'm really happy with how he came out. Who are you again? Hey, I made a whole season, not just one episode. Sheesh. And then, maybe controversial, but I'm going to include a Rise of the Beast Air Razor, who doesn't share any pieces, but she's so similar that she may as well be like the same essay, but then somebody put it into Grammarly and used the thesaurus to make all the words bigger and fancier. It's the one look.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
So, you know, despite this definitely not being the first outing for this mold, I think that she's different enough and unique enough that she definitely holds her own when put amongst her feathered friends. Look at this, more wings than a KFC. And maybe it's just because she's so shiny and new, but I think she might almost be my favorite. No, Pterosaur. No, maybe Filch. Oh god, I don't know. Filch is good, but I'll tell you this much, they look really good together, ginnued out like that. The mix of cybernetic and organic components, partly metal, partly real. Transformation-wise, this latest outing for this mold doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Hugely, so I feel pretty comfortable to blow through it reasonably quickly.
In the wind she takes her flight, cursed and blessed to be the thief. Crow will strike in disbelief, feathers black and eyes so keen, swooping down she'll never be seen. Crow pirate, robbing ships without a sound. Crow pirate, looting treasure, sailing round.
Alright, so look, let's be real. Bird former is never an easy one. The only figure that I feel like has ever done it really well is Energon Dive Bomb. I love the way the wings become the legs. That was just so cool. But he had the advantage of being an incredibly stylized bird. Beast Wars was always going to be difficult. Robots in Disguise, difficult. I think, because it's that little bit more stylized and cartoony, I actually think it gets away with this alt mode a lot more than some of the others. Like, is it just me, or does she not look like she should be the bad guy that you fight at the end of a, you know, cloud airship level in Mega Man X4 or something? The wings are pretty good, nice and wide. I do think they could have done with being a little bit more epic, but she can fold them around all sinister and cool, and that's a look that I really enjoy. In terms of alt mode articulation, you get quite a good amount of movement out of that head, and I really like the way it folds around that piece there when you move it. A little bit of beaky action, nothing too crazy. Again, they picked out eyeliner and pupil. Really good head sculpt in my opinion. The wings are like quadruply folded, so you can get, you know, a lot back, a lot down. You can collapse them all in a little bit if you want them folded back, like she's at rest. And then the legs, you kind of get the same articulation that you had before, but just, you know, weirder, because now she's a bird.
It's getting dark. Dark.
But it's the middle of the afternoon. Must be a solar eclipse.
That's not an eclipse, Nathaniel. Those are birds. Look out! What have we done?
And here she is alongside the other winged warriors. The only one that I think can really give her a run for her money is Rise of the Beast Air Razor, because being much more mechanical gives you more license, which I think is something that works really well in her favor all round. By looking less like a real bird, when she doesn't nail it, it doesn't feel as odd. Like Kingdom Air Razor belongs on a bad taxidermy page. Filch is cartoony, so she can be cartoony. And so it really works for me. So while she might not be bringing anything particularly new or fresh to the table, the carrion that she's picked over is all the best bits. Like the juicy eyeballs. Will your collection survive without her? Probably. Is she the best use of this mold so far? Most definitely. Like the others, I never really put into beast mode, but this is one that I would definitely transform back and forth. Especially, with the whole pirate fiction thing, as if she's not the scout and lookout for the crew. She's a crow who can sit in the crow's nest. Come on! I have no regrets about picking this one up. I know she was one that for a lot of people was standing out the least in this Star Raiders capsule. I only ever intended to pick up her and Lockdown, and I think she's definitely better than Lockdown. If you haven't messed with this mold before, this is a great entry point for it. I'm telling everyone. So what do you think? Are you as enamored by this crow as I am? Or in your eyes, is she more of a raven than a crow? And you're going to say Edgar Allan Poe style.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
So thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a good time. If you're new, if this is your first time stopping by, click the clicks, like the likes. If you've already done those things, way to go, you little legend. Hit me up in the comments below, and until the next one, let's get nerdy with it. Catch.